All right, running a little bit late tonight. A few technical difficulties. And if you're going to do a video program, you got to make sure and have your camera with you. Somebody had to run home and get the camera. Then we've had a few technical difficulties. But I'll tell you what, big thanks to Mike Hill, Hill Job Graphics. Supplied us with some refreshment for after the show tonight, a couple of T-shirts, some of the work that he does over there. Had to send Dave by because you, my co-host, won't answer your phone. What a cell phone that nobody answers. What good is that?
Yeah. Well, you know, when you don't charge the battery, you can't talk on your phone. How's that?
Okay, so I got the video guy coming without a camera, and I got my co-host coming whenever he decides to show up because I can't get a hold of him. David, thanks for going by and getting the refreshments.
Hey,
from
we
Mike.
all got her. We got her done, though. We're going.
We're going now. Finally, a little late tonight, but you know what? We're here. This is where I live, so I can just go and go to bed whenever we're done. It doesn't matter to me. You guys got to drive home. Sorry about your luck. But finally, first time. You know, Bobby's got some results tonight. He's wait a minute. We'll stop here first. Our guest tonight is Jeff Olson. Jeff's with Speedline Racing Products. Plus, he also drives his own race car. Lots of stuff to talk about tonight with Jeff. Thanks for coming down, Jeff. We greatly appreciate it. And Bobby's got some results. I had things come up. Didn't make it to the Chili Bowl this year, but you can.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you it is on my calendar already, and I'm already putting some funds aside for that trip next year. I am not going to get caught not going this next year.
That's that's getting to be an amazing deal. I mean, they had a record number of cars this year. 316 entries came in the place. Come Saturday for the features, they started with the N feature. And ran N.
Two N's or one N?
Two N's.
Two N's. They start with two N's?
Two N's and
then
backwards
folks.
through the alphabet all the way up to the A.
So if you make – and what was the procedure? Did you have to win to go on?
They started out taking – they started out taking 4, I think, transferring 4 cars out of each. And I think when you get up to like the D feature, I think they start taking 6 then.
So, folks, that's 2 N's. So, if you know your alphabet, that's N's and then M's. And I'm not going to go the rest of the way. I can say it forward, but I'm not going to say it backwards. So.
Yeah, I hear you. I couldn't.
That's
either.
a whole lot of. What time? Does the last race still have to start before midnight?
Well, actually, it was live on MAV TV, so they were pretty much staying right on schedule.
You have any idea what time the last?
It started at 11 in the morning. I know that with the end
well,
features, and then went all day long until. Once they get up to the C features, they have an opening ceremony where they bring out all the drivers and throw the Frisbees and do all that. And that might have been when the TV programming started with the C's.
Then 2 C's.
2 C's, 2 B's, and then the A feature.
And the A feature.
Yep, 55 laps. On Tuesday night, Kyle Larson picked up the qualifying feature there. And on Wednesday, Rico Abreu, I don't know how to say that. Yeah. On Thursday night, Jerry Coons Jr. On Friday night was Brian Clausen. And then they redrew for the starting positions in the winners' starting position in the front row, and ended up being Brian Clausen and Jerry Coons Jr. on the front row, and Kyle Larson and Rico were on the second row. And when they took off, Clausen got in the lead and got pretty much checked out. I mean, he was all in the mail. He was fast. And Rico ran him down, and he, like he was telling, he said he was following Clausen and didn't really know if Clausen was showing him everything he had or not, but he had one opportunity to pass him going into one, and he kind of slid him and took off, and then he drove away from Clausen after that. And about halfway through the race, Kevin Swindell ended up spinning out and causing yellow and ended up going to the back. Well, he came from the back and ended up running second. Kevin
all the way to the back.
Kevin was fast, and anytime you go to the Chili Bowl, you're going to see the Swindells run up front.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And these are special cars just for this race. Don't race them anywhere else, anytime else. This is just for the Chili Bowl that these things are built.
There's quite a few of the guys, I think, that just have a Chili Bowl car.
A Chili Bowl car.
Yep.
Little lighter, little rules that don't apply. And you looked in Rico's car, and he's got all kinds of stuff in there. So,
it's amazing, the adjustable shocks and everything they got in them little cars. That they're pretty little sophisticated little machines. But anyway, Rico ended up picking up the win. Kevin Swindell was second. Damian Gardner was third. Tanner Thorson was fourth. And Sammy Swindell was fifth. And like I say, put on one whale of a show. So if you ever get the chance,
I'm going.
Need
It's
to
already
take
on the
up
calendar
Chili
for
Bowl.
next year. I'm
Yeah.
going. I'm not. Yeah, it's happening.
It's pretty good time. Pretty good time.
You know, yeah, it's just one of those things. We couldn't make it this year, but yeah, it's always a good time. When did you go down? Did you go down Friday like normal, or did you?
Yeah, we went
Friday morning.
Yeah, well, actually, we didn't. We got there a little late. One of our passengers had an engagement that he had to attend, and so we got a late start. But
Okay.
got there for the features, and then seen everything.
Friday
on
night
Sunday.
festivities. Where'd you guys go?
We
Can't say it here.
we went to IHOP and Hard Rock Casino.
Okay. Okay.
And then come Saturday night, we went back to IHOP, and we left IHOP and went to Taco Bueno and left Taco Bueno and ended up at the Waffle House.
Couldn't get service anywhere, huh?
Have you ever tried to walk up to a drive-through?
Oh yeah, they don't like that.
They won't serve you.
No.
They told us we had to be in a car. So Brian suggested we call a taxi.
They don't see the humor in you walking up to the window. I don't get it. I don't know why.
No.
There's got to be a rule or something,
I
but they
know.
don't like it.
We was all standing around the speaker, and nobody talked to us.
Hello.
We needed a car, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you?
I know a place that'll let you come up
Really?
if you're racing,
Okay.
but you got to take your steering wheel out of the race car.
Oh.
Then you're okay.
There you go.
So, once you have the steering wheel, you can go through the drive-through.
Sweet.
So,
Okay, we'll
where's
have to
this
remember
at?
that.
It's in Missouri.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it now. We're done past Missouri. You know, and before we go any further, hang on, Jeff and Bobby. You know, we lost Lonnie Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Great guy, just a hard racer and a great guy. You know, I raced for Lonnie in the Torah thing, and lots of stories I could tell, but just a great guy. And we have the shop dog out here with us tonight, folks. Sorry about that. But yeah, Lonnie Smith passed away. Godspeed to Lonnie, and God bless the Smith family.
Yep. And you know, we probably should have mentioned, not on last week's show too, Richard Fairchild passed away here month and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it's kind of sad we're losing some of the racers, but
Yep.
yeah, it's too bad.
Lonnie was fun to race for, I can tell you that, and he was fun to race with too.
You know, it was good to see him here. He came to Salina quite a bit.
He did with the late model thing going on. He he started showing up a little bit more.
Got a little bit involved, and
yeah, lots of rumors, lots of stories. You know that he wanted to get back in and run. Of course, he kept telling his brother one more time.
you could tell
One more time.
You could see that his health wasn't real good here last summer. I know he spent a lot of time riding on the four-wheeler because he really wasn't able to walk too much. But yeah, that's too bad.
Got a guest asking us, Dave, where RaceTalk is, how they find it. Where's it at? It's on RaceTalk Live Kansas. Where do they get it? You got the link on the. It's on the Facebook page. Okay, go to the Facebook page. You'll find it there. Go ahead, Bob.
So, Jeff, what have you been doing all winter?
Nothing.
Nothing. Join the crowd, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a change. Actually, I think this is probably the first winter that we really haven't done much at all. So.
You, I know you took a little tumble here at Salina Speedway here. There toward 3/4 the way through the summer and kind of tore things up. You got it back together, and things go back together okay?
Yeah. Surprisingly, it went back pretty good. Replaced a lot of parts. There was some bent stuff, but it wasn't anything that kept us from going out the next week. So we had one more race, and that was the big 2-day show, and we wanted to make that. And we had talked about bringing the backup car out, and we just decided that let's tear into this one because we had it out all year, and we didn't want to do much changing and everything. Well, I think got into a little more work than bringing the backup car out, but I had a lot of good pit crew guys come out and help me out, and they got it back together, and we went out and ran the 2-day show and made the field and had a top 10 finish, so
That's
I can't
good.
complain.
Oh, what do you think of the sport mod class? Are you kind of liking it?
Yeah, I am. It's real competitive. It's a lot more competitive than what a lot of people think. There's a lot more work to it than what you think. I mean, it's like working on a regular modified. You're just 2 bars short, basically. Yeah. But it's a fun class. I enjoy it. So it's kind of going back to the old school, back in the days when I first started running modifieds. We was all on 3 links and everything. And, of course, nowadays everybody's on the, 4 links and 4-bar cars and, do the quick change stuff and everything. So, just kind of something to go back to kind of where you started and have some fun with everybody.
I've said this, quite a few times. I'm pretty impressed with IMCA, the way they've taken their the rule package for the sport mods with the claim motor and the crate motor. I mean, with the claim motor having to run the 2-barrel carburetor and the crate motor having to run the 4-barrel carburetor. I mean, it's pretty equal, I think. As far as that goes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know there's a lot of times we've been trying to figure out how we could sneak a 4-barrel on without getting caught. Because you got a little more in something, and you could use it that night, and you just can't do that. So, but it does. It equals everybody out pretty good. A lot of people talk about Tyler Fry and Carter and Nate Jennist was always up front and everything. But I tell you what, it wasn't always just the car. I mean, them are 3 really good, talented drivers.
Mm-hmm.
They've been with the class for a while. They know the cars real well, and that's what it takes. They spend the time in the shop, which is something I've always preached as far as that goes. And I take my hats off to them. But I ain't gonna, that's not saying that the rest of the field isn't talented. I feel that if 15 cars or 20 cars or 25 cars show up that night, you got 15, 20, or 25 drivers can win that A feature that night.
Yep, it's definitely a fun class to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's.
I know where his backup car is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Wouldn't
sure.
take much to get it running, I'm sure.
No, we probably a motor.
Mm-hmm.
Tranny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've
Yeah,
looked.
wouldn't
I didn't look to see if there's a gear in it or not.
No, no.
Well, darn it.
Yeah, I might have to stop after the show. I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
for
you might
about
have
a
to take
year.
a look at it. It's resting comfortably. I
want to
can
make
tell you
sure
that.
the window opening's still the same.
It is. Nothing's changed. Trying to change it so I can get in it. So.
Yeah.
But that one was given to me, the one back behind me, but I don't know that that's the way to go. But anyhow, talk about your tumble this year. I mean, Bobby mentioned it. What happened?
Well, it was kind of a racing thing.
Everybody says it was a racing thing.
Yeah, well, you kind of do because you don't want to put the blame on anybody, and I don't. I
know.
I don't blame anybody.
We're not trying to put you on the spot.
We got in a little tangle a couple laps prior to that. And I had some people that were out there, had come out that night to watch us, and we...
Classmates.
Yeah, some classmates. And so, we wanted to at least get a decent finish, and we had something new under the car we was wanting to try. And the car wasn't totally right. And anyhow, like I said, we got in kind of a little mix-up before, so we took a couple laps trying to get back up there. And next thing I know, I got turned sideways, and another driver didn't have no place to go and ended up in the side of me, and car took off and just started rolling.
How many times?
2, I believe.
I counted 3, I thought, but that's okay.
Well, that could be. I mean,
You wasn't counting.
No, I wasn't counting. I was actually I was more. Believe it or not, I was more worried about getting the thing shut off and taken out of gear, which I did sometime during the rollovers. So I was more worried about getting that done than I was counting the rollovers.
What transmission you run?
We run a 3-speed Saginaw.
Okay. It's a
So-
little tougher than a Powerglide. I was wondering why
Yeah.
you were trying to get it out of gear so quick, but
So, you know, sometimes I guess instincts take over when you're in something like that. And
Is that
it
the
just
first
comes
time you've been upside down?
No, we got to talking about that a few weeks later. Believe it or not, I think that was probably the third or fourth time.
Really?
really.
Yeah. So I've been on my lid. You know, if you figure how long I've been racing, it's really the ratio isn't bad. It's
Yeah.
like once every 10 years.
Okay.
So, you know, we've had some near close calls, you know, and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I've been on my lid a few times.
You know, you get to talking about that. You say you got turned sideways, and a lot of times, if I remember right, the track was pretty tacky that night,
Mm-hmm.
and the right side tires dug in
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to the dirt, didn't it? And
Yeah.
then, see,
So
It wasn't. You know, it was just one of those deals that track's tacky.
yep,
You know, you get sideways and something's
Yep.
gotta give.
bad stuff happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's why we always like. You know, part of the reason why I always like to see slick tracks is, you know, if things do happen, you don't get stuff tore up near as bad most of the time.
Right. Yeah. Very true.
What
Yep.
chassis is that anyhow?
The one we ran last year was a Bill's built.
Okay.
Our backup car is a Fastmaster.
Okay.
So basically, two different cars.
Sure.
The Fastmaster was originally our modified, so it came out with a 4-bar car. You know, when we first bought it. Then when we decided to go to the Sport Mod class, I actually come up with some brackets that I designed, drew up and built. And made.
He's a bracket building fool. He's always trying something to move things around or do this or do that. He builds more brackets than anybody I've ever met.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
know.
Jeff.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you
I
do.
go over- I agree. He calls me up to come over and align the front end, and I go over there, and he's got stuff hanging on the walls and piles in here that he's made. Yeah, he's got stuff laying everywhere.
He's got brackets.
Yeah, I sold a Harris car one time, and I told the kid, you know, if he needed some help with it, you know, to give me a call. So he picks the car up. The next day he calls me up. He says, I need some help. And I says, what's that? And he says, what's the stock locations for the shops? And I says, you know, so I start telling him, and he says, well, what's these other 10 spots we got? You know? So I told him, I said, well, don't worry about them till we get into other parts of, you know, other time of the year. So, yeah, a lot of times when you look at, you know, fortunately with these cars, they're all pretty much what the chassis guys put in them. You know, I haven't done a lot with them, but
You will.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where we're sitting there scratching our head going, what do we do tonight, you know? And most of the time we're wishing we didn't have all them holes. We just need to weld them shut. And
Dial yourself out.
yeah, a lot of times
Happens
you do.
every time, doesn't it?
Them guys-
Always.
Yeah, them chassis
to
builders, they
overthinking
put
it.
all them holes in there. And yeah.
Yeah, a lot
What
of
do you
ti-
do now?
know, a lot of times, guys. Well, and Bobby, you set cars up, and you've been around them. To be honest with you, the more holes in a car, what I tell guys is they're there to sell you that car,
Right.
because most of the time you're not going to use 90% of them.
No.
But a racer will go buy them because it's got more holes
Yeah.
in it, you know.
Yeah, it looks
So-
cool.
Yeah. Look at
Yeah.
that. I got toys to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can make all kinds of adjustments to get fast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
Make all kinds to get
Adjustment
slower.
go slower, and then pretty soon you're like, Bobby, what do we got to do here? It's not moving forward. You know, Jeff, you and I have been around this game a long time. I think you actually started before I did, but somewhere in time we built a race car together.
We did, and we've talked about that a lot, you know, over the years. And, you know, that comes up in a lot of our, you know, I was talking to Bobby before the show here, you know, about some of the stuff that we've done over all these years we've been racing. And that's definitely one of the things was the year that
We raced
you
down
know,
at Hutch.
we raced down at Hutch, and then
Man, did we have fun.
Stories that you can tell and the stories you can't
tell.
So
And and we got rained out. It was all we'd always go. It didn't matter, even if it looked like it was going to rain, because if we were going to get rained out, we'd go to that Cowboy Casino or whatever it was.
Cowboy, yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was Cowboy something or another.
something.
And was it on 4th Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right there downtown.
Oh my God! And we just pull right in there. We wouldn't care if it was raining or not. It didn't
No.
matter. Well, here's where we're going.
Yep.
I don't even know. Is that place even around anymore?
I don't think so.
Down there. I haven't been down there. I don't even know if it's open.
I don't think it is.
And everything that you've raced, I mean, I think I can't remember. That was a street. There's a picture of it in the house. I have to get it for you and show you. Somebody, it was either you or I, was racing against Jerry Phillips. And looking at the fire suit, it looks like it might have been you. But when Jerry was running the street stock stuff.
Right.
But, out of all that stuff that you've driven, and you even played with some midget stuff too, what's your most favorite?
Oh, deep down, the midget was probably my favorite.
Are you nuts?
Well, that's what everybody tells me, so probably, yeah. I've always, Bobby and I used to go to the World Outlaw shows all the time, every chance we got. And I just loved the open wheel cars. And so when I got the opportunity to get into one, it probably wasn't the right place to start your midget career. And
the best part was you didn't own it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was you and Steve's,
You just
wasn't
had
it?
to drive it.
Steve's gone. We lost Steve several years back. But I'm sorry, Jeff, but I got to go with the late model thing. There is something about them big fat cars that I really like.
It's funny because over the years, like I said, we used to go to every kind of World Outlaw show around. I mean, God, it was probably as long as it was 500 miles radius, I think, we went to, because we was gone all the time. But today, I haven't gone to very many, but I have to agree I like the late models. I did an exhibition race for Mark Brown one time out in Colby. I got a chance to drive his late model that night, and I really liked it. And that's really the only time I ever really drove one.
Sure.
And of course, they've changed now since then. But we've talked about this, about selling the sport mods, doing the crate late model thing.
Sure.
I did talk to a couple people about, maybe driving one for them. Nothing ever really, came about on it or anything.
Right.
It's not out of the question. I think it'd be something fun. It's something I would like to do on a competitive basis, at least 1 year, just to say I did it. I mean, I've been in street stocks and midgets and modifieds and sport mods, and I think I raced a tricycle one time.
You even raced your own personal car. I'll never forget this one at Salina Speedway when they had that head-to-head challenge thing.
Yep.
You raced your own personal car and got in a wreck. Your street car got crashed on the racetrack. How does that happen?
Well, that was actually another guy's fault.
Oh,
I can blame
okay.
that one. I can blame that one. That one.
That wasn't a racing deal?
That was definitely
That was
not a
actually
racing
after
deal.
the race, too.
It
wasn't
was. I had beat him. And,
It was after the checkered flag. You guys went into turn 1 and 2. And
yeah, he just didn't turn. I guess he thought we were street racing, and you don't turn on street racing. And we got to the corner, and he didn't turn.
How do you explain that to the insurance company?
how'd you explain it to your dad?
He was there. So it wasn't Dad I had to explain it to, it was Mom. And so we kind of was one of them deals that you just don't explain it. You just let her yell at you. So, but I had done that a few times with some other people's cars down at Wichita, and when Salina decided to have it, I thought, well, let's do my Camaros. So we so it wasn't quite as bad as what it looked. It was only about $800 to fix it. So, today's money, that's probably quite a bit.
That was $800 back like 20 years ago.
Yeah. So it was. But I think that's why I don't build street cars, so that I won't race them on dirt tracks.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
I think we ought to bring that up, Tommy. Maybe he'll get that going again.
It's actually kind of a fun deal. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
I think out of that whole time that, if I remember right, I think Donnie Brown had the track at that time.
Could be.
And I think the biggest deal on that was the only accident out of all of them that he'd had. You know, so you know, growing up with people seeing me do that, they've never let me forget that. So
Yeah, well, guess what? I saw it.
yeah,
I won't let you forget it.
that's true.
You know, you Speedline Racing Products, so you deal with a lot of guys. What's your recommendation for a young kid comes to you and says, "I want to go racing"? What do you tell him? You say no, go home, or do you tell him to go find a big fat bank account, or do you point him in a class that you think, you know?
Well,
and it's tough these days.
it is. It's
tough because you know the mini stock class isn't what it used to be, and they're doing away with that thing and doing some changes there, or it's gone, or whatever. So.
You know, basically, I ask them first off if that's something they really want to do. You know, if they're still in school, in high school, of course, you know, you always want to make sure the parents are involved. But, you know, a young kid that's out, you know, he's got a job and everything, he comes and he says, look, you know, we want to go racing and everything. I try to get them to start, you know, small. Whether it be a front-wheel drive car or whether it be, you know, a mini stock. I think that I want them to spend as least amount of money as they can to make sure that's what they want to do.
You know, in that hobby stock class, you know, I always thought that'd be a good starter class. You're freezing too, by the way. I'm sorry, you're shaking. You're shaking.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the temperature is.
Oh, it's all
cold.
right.
But anyhow, you know, the hobby stock class used to be a decent beginner's class, but holy cow, they get a big field of cars, and that thing is fairly competitive. Where's the guys start, Bob? What do you, you know, Jeff? What do you tell them?
Yeah, the way the hobby stock class is now, yeah, it's
Teach you a lot. Although, you know, some of the guys have done a lot to the cars. I've worked with a couple of them. You know, they've tricks and things, you know, in the cars that, you know, they've dug down into that's legal. And, you know, it's helped the cars handle and stuff. So, you know, they've started tinkering with them a little bit. I mean, it's like any other class. I mean, when the mini stocks first came out, it was basically just a stock Pinto or Mazda or something of that sort, you know, and there wasn't a whole lot you could do to it. And the next thing you know, they were, you know, just flying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was unreal.
And that class has got to be the hardest class to tech that there is. You know, if you go to the front wheel drive car, because you got a VIN number, you got an onboard computer, and you know,
more.
and there's so many things they can change, you know, and that they're not supposed to change, that they can change, that's hard to find. You know, they're not real racing parts. Right. You know, if you're teching a modified or a sport mod or a hobby stock, you can tell because you know what's supposed to be there. With these things, you don't even have any baseline for what's supposed to be there.
That's what I think Dave Brin and us have talked about, them guys trying to tech the front-wheel drive cars up at Boone.
Yeah, that's got to be the hat.
They have to hire a special tech guy to come in and, you know, that knows nothing but, you know, front-wheel drive cars to go through all that.
With that being said, and since he brought up Boone, you ever raced there?
No. We've talked about going up there a couple times. There's just, to believe it or not, and a lot of people probably think I'm crazy, I really don't have any desire to go up there. There's other races that I would rather run than go to Boone.
Really?
I mean, I would.
Is it too? It's a good 6-hour trip. Six-hour trip.
It's ways away. Yeah.
So where would you rather go?
Yeah, I enjoyed running, and we went back to the Lucas Oil Race track a few years ago, and I really liked running there. The track was phenomenal.
Wheatland, Missouri. Is that what you? Which racetrack?
Yeah, it's over in Wheatland.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not really the race or the racetrack. It's just, you know, there's other places I'd like to go. I'd like to go down to West Plains, Missouri, and race. There's a couple places in Oklahoma, down in Muskogee. I wouldn't mind running down there. You know, and like I said, it's not the race or the competition or the track or anything of that. It's, you know, I'd rather take my money and go run, say, 2 or 3 out-of-state races somewhere than go to just one.
Sure. Okay, that's understandable.
That's, you know, there's a lot of people that go up there not just to race, but I mean they make it a vacation. Is what they do. I mean they go and spend the whole week there and watch nothing but racing.
Yeah,
So,
I think it'd be
mean,
a great time. I mean,
yeah.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to go back there and you know, I'd say go back and watch. And I know the first day I'd be there, I'd be wondering why I didn't bring the car.
Yeah,
you know?
you would.
But you know, one of these days I'm going to go back there, whether it be just for the features or, you know, for a few days or the whole week or whatever. I mean, I want to go. The rumor's been tossed around about that now for quite a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, they did away with the state fair races.
Right.
And
That's what they said. They feel like it doesn't get used as much as it should, and so
No. That's a shame.
Yep.
'Cause,
they're do away with it.
I know that, you know, we've all 3 of us have been down there many times.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to see it go away, but they're not using it like they
I
used
know.
to.
Sea Ray tried to run it there, once a month or something? Didn't he
Yeah.
have
Mhm.
a series going on or something over there?
Yeah,
And
a couple years ago.
but yeah, that thing
Now
that didn't work
here's
out.
kind of a trivia thing about that track.
Okay.
What you know, I asked this the other day to a big sprint car buff guy, and I told him, I says, "Who's the most famous race driver to ever run at the Kansas State Fairgrounds?"
The sprint car guy.
A sprint car. And I saw him there. I actually had the pleasure of actually seeing him, and he ran a super modified that day. And there's been a lot of big name guys down there. I mean, and I'm not counting Sammy Swindell or Steve Kinzer. We're going way back.
You're gonna have to give me another hint.
He wore a cowboy hat.
AJ Foyt.
No. No,
Not Petty?
not Petty.
Huh, wore a
Cow-
cowboy hat.
Yeah. He drove for Bill Smith from Speedway Motors.
Oh, Jan Opperman.
Jan Opperman.
Oh, okay. He raced at the
He raced
fairgrounds
it,
here?
yes. And at the time, I really, you know, Jan was kind of one of my big heroes.
Yeah.
He was a guy, and that's kind of where I got my philosophy about not running for points. I like the true outlaw guys that I seen when I was a kid. And that day that I seen him, and I got to actually go up and meet him, I really didn't realize how big he was, you know. And when I finally started racing, I always remembered that. And, of course, by then, you know, everybody talked about Jan Opperman when
Yeah.
they were around sprint cars.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I just kind of based, you know, my philosophy on was, you know, the heck with points. It's where you want to run for the money, and don't worry about anything else. So that was kind of my childhood hero,
Huh.
and I actually got to see him, and that was a big thing for me.
Oh, be darned. That's cool. That's cool.
And we've seen a lot of big names, you
Yeah.
know, over the years. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a neat thing for me.
Oh.
So what's your plans for this year?
Well, right now, we really don't really know for sure. The way we've been looking at it, I think we're going to kind of scale back. We've had some, you know, personal things happen that's taken up a lot of our winter time. Kind of makes you rethink stuff a little bit. We're going to be around the racetrack. We know that. We are going to race. We want to do a little traveling, I think. There's a couple racetracks that's been asking me now for the last couple of years why I haven't been out there to race for them, and you know, and I think that maybe we might, you know, take off and just do kind of a limited deal and catch a couple racetracks out of town that we haven't been to, maybe just have a little fun, relaxation this year.
There you go.
I say that
Nothing
now.
wrong with
but
that.
No, but I mean, I usually say that every year about this time, and we end up getting roped into running every week. So
How close to being ready is the car?
which one? It's we have one that about 2 days and we'd be done ready.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the
And
other
the
ones,
other one.
the other one, if I work hard enough at it, we got about a month's worth of work in it.
And then there's the backup.
Well, yeah, the backups, which is that'd take about 2 days.
Okay.
So we have.
Which one are you going to bring out first?
I don't know yet. We've been working on a backup motor that I got. We've been talking about making.
It's
It
been
has
relatively
Been
cold.
gold, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Yep.
Not liking that at all. I used to cold. I used to think that when I retire, I'd go north, but I'm rethinking that
Not
decision.
me.
Yeah.
Not me. You're
This
crazy.
winter was cold.
And he called me crazy.
Yeah. I'm serious. I always wanted to go further north. I wanted to go to Montana. I did, or Wisconsin, but after
Brr.
this winter, I don't think so.
No, I think the older you get, the winters get harder. And you just don't. It's like after we rolled over, everybody's asking, are you okay? You okay? And I mean, I was fine. I think everybody else was more worried about it than I was, and I made the comment the next day that I was a little sore, and of course it kind of got blown out of proportion, and next thing I know, I was like, well, everybody had me all walking on crutches and everything like that. And I was like, I'm a little sore. I'm a little older. I don't heal as fast, like I used to, so I don't bounce right back, So, but I'm not on my deathbed either. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's pretty cool how far the cars have came to make them as safe as they are. I mean, you hardly ever hear of anybody getting hurt anymore. I mean, with all the safety equipment, and I know we've talked about this before, but yeah, they do a good job.
And I was pretty fortunate because we'd fought an issue up until about 2 or 3 weeks before the rollover, and that was I had purchased a full containment seat, and I had had back surgery the year before. So with this seat, we was doing some modifications to it to try to make it a little more comfortable, for my lower back at the time. But the seat never fit me, and I never got comfortable in it, and I was sliding and kind of moving around even with my belts tight. So a couple weeks before that, I called up one of my warehouses, and I said, look, I'm getting tired of this thing, send me down this other seat. So they did, and we put that in, and it was like night and day.
Really?
And so we got to test it out, and it wasn't the way I wanted to test it out, but
Yeah.
it worked great. So
That's
I mean,
good.
you're right. The equipment, the equipment's come a long ways.
Yeah.
And you don't bounce around in the cars like you used to, and it almost makes it like you're in a recliner anymore.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part of the whole thing is staying awake in the lineup area.
Yeah.
Oh no, really?
So, well, I've been known to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So you get comfortable, It's a good thing they don't have, like a TV in front of you or,
Music
radio.
playing in your
yeah,
ear.
I'd be done. I'd be sacked out.
I fell asleep in the lineup area. There was a red flag on the track, and I just got comfy in the car, and before I know it, they're tapping me on the shoulder. Hey, you going to race this race or
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets that way.
So you talked about your crew guys helping you put the car back together after your little tumble. Why don't you mention some names?
Yeah, I had a pretty good crew set up, and they worked their tails off out there in the shop, So it's good to have people like that, and I feel real fortunate because without them, a lot of times we wouldn't be there.
All right. Yep.
And it's no fun, one guy in a shop working on it, it's no fun. If you get a couple guys together, it becomes
Sure.
more fun. Your family gets involved. Your dad's always helped you. Has he always assembled your engines for you? You've got somebody that does your machine work for you.
Right. Mark Brown's been with me from day one. Mark and I, in fact, grew up down here, in this little town you live in.
Yep.
Mark and I actually assembled my very first race motor right here in New Cambrian.
Sure.
Just down across the alley from you. I won't say how long ago that was, but, so he's been with me for quite a while. But, yeah, my dad's done, he's done all my assembly work for me, and we kind of come to agreement that, he'll stay out of the chassis and I'll stay out of the motor. And so that's kind of where we stand with it, and it's been that way for 30 years now. So sometimes we have our ups and downs, but overall, if you count all that years, we've had a lot of good luck together.
Yep.
So it's most of the time it's if I get, if it's the driver making the mistakes, not the mechanics.
Does he ever tell you what you should have done?
No, not really. It's more to the point of we've had in our shop last summer, and when I say argument, I mean there's been some huge arguments about
Really?
this thing. We actually had a crate, and when it was all said and done, it ended up in my dad's truck.
No,
So that's it. Originally when we got it, we actually talked about putting it in the sport mod, or
Yeah.
keeping it for the sport mod.
yeah.
But it was a motor that we had bought with another car that we resold, and we kept the motor, and IMCA had that thing. They don't want you to get into it and this kind of stuff. Well, it had been hurt. But we think that, or thought that, it was something we could go back with stock parts. And, IMCA, sometimes if it's a new crate, they'll let you go in, and put, like, say, stock piston back in it or something of that sort,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when we ended up taking the head off of it, it was 6 pistons, not one. And then it turned out to be the block was hurt a little more than normal.
It was going to be more
Yeah.
expensive.
So,
Yeah.
it ended up going to, it was either, spend the money and buy an actual crate, which we'd already had, 2, shop-built motors.
Yeah.
So we couldn't see, buying a crate as a third motor and, having to buy the carburetor and all that to go along
Right.
with it.
Right.
So it was more beneficial to put it in a pickup truck than it was to worry about it. So that's
That's where
it's
it's
kind of where it's at, It's one of them things. I don't know if we'll ever go to a crate. I doubt it.
at. Yeah.
It's I like them. I've raced them. I got a chance to drive one. You got to set the car up a little different, and you got to drive them a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have their place and their time, in there, and I've been a big supporter of this. I've said many a times that if you're going to curve, and I know I'll be disagreed with and everything, but
What'd you look at me for?
well, because I think you'll agree with me.
Okay, all right.
And I don't know if Bobby might too, but I've said that if you're going to curve the cost of racing, the first place you need to do is put everybody equal in the motor area. And then your next step would be the tires. Well, IMCA's done it with the tires.
Mm-hmm.
They've made us fairly equal by using 2 motors, so they've done a good job of that. But I still honestly believe that if you're going to make a 4
There's a lot of nights with the crate. You get in a heat race that's tacky and wide open. You're hitting your chip halfway down the straightaway. Well,
Right.
If you had quick change, a few minutes, you'd be able to fix that
Exactly.
and then switch it back. So yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Is the B6 team going to a quick change?
No. Nope.
You're gonna still lift them heavy gears this year, huh?
Yeah. Well, we don't ever change, so. you don't ever go nowhere. So what's why?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could change it once a year to go to Boone. Yeah, that'd be all right.
Yeah. Well, you know, and if you've got a good setup, you know, usually the gear you're going to use it, you know, 85-90% of the time.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think with the advantage is going to be for the guys that travel.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll see some guys playing with it early in the year, but I think once you're going to start seeing is guys are going to stick with, you know,
They'll
one.
find something.
And stay with it. And you might see a lot of guys changing it because they think they need to when they really don't. But, I mean, you know, I think your biggest advantage will be for the guys traveling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And they are a little pricey. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to switch over, it'd be a little expensive.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
You know. So I don't know. You know of anybody in the area that's switching over?
I haven't talked to him, but I'm pretty sure that the Extreme Boys will probably have
they'll have one.
quick changes in their
Well,
cars.
they had them in
and,
their other cars. Didn't
in the USMTS. Yeah.
cars. So they've had their hands on them anyhow.
Yeah. But the people at Walkeny that got a new car, they've kept a 9-inch in it. Yeah, I don't know of anybody yet that's got one.
I talked to one guy out of Hutchison that he bought a used one. Actually, bought 2 used ones.
Okay.
You know, so I mean that's the only guy that so far that I've seen him in the cars, but
Yeah.
you know, no local people.
I'm excited about.
Going to have some word out the next time we have a show about what Dave's got going on. Really appreciate him coming by and helping us out here. Bobby Potts, the co-host. Jeff Olson, the guest tonight. I'm Bill Gritton. I'm saying so long. We'll see you in 2 weeks right here in Race Talk Live Shop Talk right here in beautiful New Cambria, Kansas.